Anthony Wilson, thank God, he graduated for his obsession over race and gender. Can't imagine these kids ever get a real education without bringing CRT anti-white speech into it. Really becomes religion. Oh, dude, fuck you. Seriously. Like, you would not survive a day as a black person. I can tell you that much right now. You'd be like, excuse me, this is outrageous. Then some cop would shoot you in the head. That's exactly what happened. You couldn't stomach it as for a day as a black person. It just, if you can't imagine what life is like living as somebody else, even just for a moment, just trying to place the situations you've been in your life and live it as somebody else who has a completely different lived experience, then yeah, probably your opinions on the matter don't really matter that much. Like, I can mouth off to a cop, and I have. I got pulled over for bullshit reasons, and I tell the cop, "This is bullshit. Fuck you." You know, we'll take this to court. I'll gladly get out of this thing. Screw you. You pulled me over simply because you thought I was somebody else. And you know what happens? They go, walk away. If I were a black dude doing that, they'd fucking shoot me in the face. Like, there's a privilege I have there that others do not. You know, I've told this before. My brother-in-law is the president of a college. He's a black man who's president of a college. He drives a Lexus. He gets pulled over like once a month under suspicion that the vehicle was stolen. If I were driving a Lexus, I would never get pulled over. You kidding me? And they go, there goes a white middle-aged guy driving a Lexus, just like he should. But he is a black man driving a Lexus, and they pull his ass over. He has to explain to them that's his car, that he's just heading home from work, where he's the president of a college, and, you know, he should be on his way. And they're like, well, can you step out of the car, sir? We got to search it. We have suspicion to believe there's like 8 pounds of cocaine in here because, well, else would a black guy be driving a Lexus? And if he was driving a crappy car, if he was driving some like 1994 Ford Escort, they'd pull him over for having a broken taillight. They'd figure out some sort of reason to hassle and make his life fucking suck. It's just the way it is. You know, he grew up having bricks thrown through his window, telling him N-word, move out of our neighborhood. I didn't have any hardship in my life was not due to the color of my skin. Except for when I lived in Hawaii, because they hated white people. And I was like, oh, got a taste of it there. But like, you know, any hardship in my life is random chance or my own stupid decisions. That is where I've had hardship. It was never the result of the color of my skin or the fact that there's entire societies devoted to making sure that I have the hardest life possible because they hate me due to the color of my skin. And we need to recognize that that's a reality for a huge portion of the population. It has been since this country's inception, right? Like, you know, the Native Americans were slaughtered. 100 million Native Americans, 100 million people who lived here before everyone else were just killed wholesale, right? And if they happen to not die from bullets or disease, we took them and we put them on the least valuable land we could find and then exploited all the resources and just cut down the trees and remove mountains and stuff. And every once in a while, we're like, wait a minute, I know we should put you on this reservation here, but we just found gold, so we're going to take you off that reservation and put you over here. Or we just found gold and we're going to make you march across the country in the Trail of Tears and end up in the most destitute, desolate, horrible desert in Oklahoma. And that's where you get to be, Cherokee people. There is systemic reasons for why people are where they are and the lives they experience now as a result of the horrors of the past. Just saying like racism's against the law has not fixed it. And it won't. Right? In 1996, the FBI said, hey, turns out local law enforcement, a whole bunch of members of the neo-Nazis and the Aryan Brotherhood are becoming cops. That might be a problem. And then 10 years later, they came out with another report like, hey, so remember 10 years ago, we talked about how all these like Aryan Brotherhood guys and white supremacists and neo-Nazis and KKK members were becoming cops. Turns out it's more of them than we thought. And then 2016, like, update, like half the police departments are members of these racist gangs. Oops. And no one's done anything about it. And so, you'll get arguments from folks like, well, black people are only 13% of the population, but they're 50% of all the people in prison. So that tells you that black people are more criminal or more prone to crime. No, they're not. They just get policed more. If you look at polling and you ask people like, hey, do you use illegal drugs? White people use illegal drugs at almost twice the rate of black people. And yet black people are like 90% of drug crime convictions. That doesn't seem fair, does it? Right? White people, we love our powdered cocaine. Black people, more prone to using crack cocaine in the neighborhoods, right? Because that's what gets sold there. That's what gets sold there. It's the same substance. It provides the same high. But if you get busted with powder cocaine, yeah, 1 to 2 years. You get busted with crack cocaine, 10. That's the state of systemic racism. That is a law created specifically to target a minority population versus a law that's there to be like, okay, white person, we know you're going to, every once in a while, and we're just going to look the other way, let that slide. And then it perpetuates all sorts of other policies. Like you have states that make it so that if you have a felony conviction, you can't vote. So what do those states do? They make sure that minorities get slapped with felony convictions more than anyone else. Therefore, they're not going to be allowed to vote and participate in local elections. That right there is another state of systemic racism that happens, man. It compounds on itself. When I was going to school in Hawaii, right? 1 in 4 children, 25% of all the kids in public school had at least one parent in prison. 1 in 4 actively had a parent in prison. Do you think that might perhaps have a negative effect on the outcomes of that child when they grow older? The United States imprisons over 1% of its entire adult population. No other nation on earth does that. And I'm not talking like over a period of time only 1% gets in prison. That's at any given moment. Over 50% of men in America will be arrested at some point in their life before age 50. 50%. The people in this chat, 50% of the men in this chat will be put in handcuffs and shoved in the back of a squad car before they turn 50 years old. But guess what? Most of those men that are going to have that experience happen to them aren't the white ones, right? If you are, it might be a DUI. The judge will go lenient. You just do a couple of classes and promise not going to drink again. But everyone else, they're going to get thrown in jail. They're going to experience the problems with, cash bail, where, the judge is like, hey, it's $1,000. Otherwise, you're going to be held until your trial. And it goes 2 years, so the trial actually happens. They can't come up with $1,000. They lose their job and their house and everything else. And if they do manage to get out of it or not do a plea deal, right, and get sent off to prison where they get that felony stamped on them and they can't ever vote again, when they come out, they got nothing. Right? Now they're homeless. They have no job. They have no home. Their car's going to be repoed. There are systemic issues at play that are particularly designed to target those without power. And traditionally, those without power are already maligned minorities and demographics that never had the power in the first place to change the law to help themselves. It's just absolutely bonkers, man. It's bonkers. Long story short, white people don't have problems over being white. They like to pretend they do. No, they don't. They don't. Okay. Leon Noel. What pie are you having this year? Well, there's probably pumpkin pie. There's probably going to be sweet potato pie. And there's probably going to be pecan pie. Out of those 3, I will pick the pumpkin or sweet potato because honestly, I can't tell the difference. I just love whipped cream and nom 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 nom. I've never really been a big pecan pie fan. Yeah, if it's the only thing there and I have nothing else to eat, I'll eat it. But if I have to choose something else, I'll eat something else. Aaron T, some can see the show live, but when I wake up and see you are live, I always try to send you some love, some appreciation. Well, thank you, Aaron T. Oh. Money over mayo. Every black person gets life insurance, even the cheapest one. Cops will stop shooting them because insurance companies have very good lawyers and they hate paying up. That's a good point. But qualitative immunity will make it so you can't sue the cops, though. That's a problem. So we need to get qualified immunity. We need to get rid of qualified immunity in this country. Um, that's one of the biggest issues is that the cops can do whatever they want, and they go, you can't punish me for it. Oops. You might be able to charge me as a criminal for murder, but good luck getting the DA to do that because the DA requires all the other cops to work with them all the time to get other convictions, and so no one's going to help the DA. The DA has no incentive, which brings me to, I would love to see a federal agency whose entire job it is to police the police. That any police infraction, any crime that the police officer is suspected of, agents of this federal agency go and investigate that crime, and they decide if it should be prosecuted or not. And when it is prosecuted, it's prosecuted by one of their attorneys and not by a local DA's office. It immediately becomes a federal crime every single time a cop commits a crime. And we don't have any local police involved whatsoever. Like right now, if your local police department isn't big enough to have an internal affairs, then they have their neighboring police department investigate them if there's a crime. So like when this dude Doug Ostling got killed here in my community, and he was murdered by the cops. The local, I think it was like the Puyallup Police Department, came and like did the investigation. Like, oh, turns out everything's all right. They did nothing wrong. But it turns out also that Doug Osling's brother-in-law was the head of the FBI, of the local branch of the FBI, and he had the FBI do an investigation. The FBI is like, nope, cops murdered him. So that was the only way I was ever found out. If Doug Ostling hadn't been related to a member of the FBI, the neighboring police department's crappy investigation would have stood the test of time. Everyone like, oh, well, I guess Doug was doing something wrong. But no, he was murdered and ended up reshuffling our entire police department. Like 75% of the officers got canned. The chief got canned. They brought in a new police chief who really cracked. He was like this hard nails Mormon guy who was like, I don't care. I want upstanding individuals. And he did a pretty good job clearing that out. His problem also was that he wouldn't actually charge us with crimes, which was a pain in the ass. But yeah, okay. Meow meow. I lived in Florida when I was a kid. The South has traveling evangelical churches that run a scam to get donations from kids. It was so weird. Yeah, my first exposure to the revivals, those like churches on tent revivals and stuff, there was a Steve Martin movie that came out. I don't know, it was like late 80s maybe. What was that movie called? IMDb.com. Steve Martin. What was that movie called? Come on, load up. Show me your movies. Actor. Show me actor, man. Okay, there we go. Close that. Just show me actor. See all. No, not The Jerk. The Jerk is a great movie, though. All right, this must be in early 90s. My Blue Heaven, LA Story, Father Grand Canyon. Leap of Faith, 92. That's what it was. He plays like a preacher in a tent revival who like is like scamming people and then has to like find a conscience at some point. That's what it was. I had no clue of those things that even existed until that movie came out. So this church rolled in, and my town was a town of drug smugglers. They scammed $25,000 from the kids. It didn't go well for the church. Hey, Vato, you stealing money from my kids? Better pray to God that I don't find you first. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Ah. Wait. Meow meow. I think you're somehow stuck on infinite loop here, telling the same story over and over. What's happening? It keeps repeating on my screen. Is that... Oh, it's only showing up once over here. Church rolled into town. Yeah. Okay. On my other screen, it's showing up like 10 times. What is going on? Hopefully you didn't get charged like 10 times for that one super chat. This screen shows 2 of them. This one shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Oh, goodness. All right. Hopefully that didn't break you, meow meow. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Okay, it's just showing 2 there. All right. So it's just glitching on this one side here. All right. Whew. Okay.